Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. Here we discuss important topics in music, especially topics bordering on music theory. So here every week we bring new topics on this aspect of music. So today we are going to continue discussion on musical scale. So in this class, talk about key and key signature. So what is key and what is key signature? What's the difference between them? All right, let's go. What is key? When you have a group of pitches, there's a particular note that every other pitch tends to pull towards. That is the tonal center, and that is a key of the music. So the tonic gives the concept of key to a piece of music, right? Alright, so you see that the key of a piece of music is derived from the tonic of the scale. When you have a group of pitches or the scale, so the first note, the first pitch in that scale is the key note of the music. You can create key on every musical letter from A to G. What is key signature? Just like time signature is the sign used to identify the key of a piece of music, and it's usually written at the beginning of the staff. So it's usually written after the clef sign. After the clef sign, you have the key signature before the meter signature in a piece of music. It gives the idea of the key in which the music is built upon. Here, we're going to talk about two ways of constructing the major scale. So we're going to use the two tetrachord way, and of course we're going to use the circle of fifth and the circle of fourth. The first way, the tetrachord arrangement. How would you construct a major scale? Now, the basic principle here is that the notes of major scales are arranged in such that they have tone and semitone in the pattern tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, right? So 5 tones and 2 semitones, right? To ensure this, use suitable accidentals. So we've talked about accidental in the previous videos, so you can check it out, right? Therefore, follow the following steps if you want to create or if you want to construct a major scale. You can construct major scale on every musical letters. So the first step, divide the notes into equal parts called the lower and the upper tetrachords. Tetrachord means 4 notes. Right, so that we have two groups of the lower one and the upper one. So that we have the lower tetrachord and the upper tetrachord, right? Ensure that there is a semitone in the last interval of each tetrachord, so that the tone semitone pattern of the scale will be tone tone semitone tone 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 semitone. All right, the first one, we want to ensure that we have semitone here regardless. That is the last interval of each tetrachord, and semitones here. So between the third and the fourth note, we have semitone, and between the seventh and the eighth note, you also have semitone. Let's see, and it's correct here because from E to F is a semitone, and from B to C is also a semitone. Alright, that's correct. Now, aside that, also make sure that every other interval of the scale has tone between them. That's whole tone between them. And if you ensure that, you see that the tone and semitone pattern conform to the arrangement of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So when you have that, a scale sounds like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And if not, it won't give the feel of major diatonic scale, right? Now, the upper tetrachord is the beginning of a new scale. Now, let's look at it. So, it's telling us that G is the start of a new scale, right? So that in this scale, we don't have accidentals, no sharp, no flat, right? The upper tetrachord will be the beginning of a new scale. Construction of the major keys. So, in the major scale, can either have sharps or flats or no accidentals at all, just like in the previous slide. In C major, we don't have sharp, we don't have flats. The upper tetrachord of C major will now be the beginning of this new scale, which is G. So G will form the lower tetrachord of a new scale, right? So we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now, how will you construct G major scale? Now, of course, previously in the construction of C major scale, the upper tetrachord starts from G. So you have G, A, B, and C, right? So that's the upper tetrachord. So this forms the lower tetrachord of G major, right? And remember, it's G major because the first note of the scale is G, right? Basically, you see that G major inherits all the features of C major, right? C doesn't have any accidental, so you see that that is happening here. But the next step says we're going to divide the music into two equal parts so that we have the lower tetrachord and the upper tetrachord. And again, we want to ensure that there is semitone between the last interval of each tetrachord. Now, what you need to add to this scale is a raised 7th degree. The fastest way is to add a raised 7th to this scale. As a shortcut, all you have to do here is to add a raised 7th to this scale so that the scale can conform to the tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone arrangement, right? You are going to add the sharp to the 7th note of the scale, which is F. So in the scale of G major, you have F sharp. Our task here is to make sure that the scale conforms to a particular tone and semitone arrangement, which I've talked about previously, right? So when you look at the interval, the lower tetrachord is correct because it was inherited from C, so it's correct. But when you look at the upper tetrachord, that is where we need to focus on, because definitely you have an anomaly here between the 6th note E and the 7th note F. So you rather have a semitone here instead of a tone. You have a tone here and you're supposed to have a semitone. So we need to flip these intervals, right? So that we have a tone here and a semitone here. And of course you use accidental to correct this irregularity, right? And the best accidental to use is the sharp, not flat, because we are dealing with scales with sharp. It means when you add the sharp sign to G, you further increase this interval to 1.5 tone, right? You now have 3 semitones here, and we don't want that. We rather want to reduce it to 1 semitone, not even 2, right? So that this will be a tone and this will be semitone. So you don't want to add the accidental to G, but the best note to add the accidental to is 7th. So when you add the accidental to F, so you see that you now have a tone between E and F sharp, which corrects this interval. And you have a semitone between F sharp and G that corrects that interval once and for all. This is the scale of G major, and because it conforms to the arrangement of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Alright, following the steps, the upper tetrachord is the beginning of a new scale. Now, the upper tetrachord starts from D, right? So we write D, E, F sharp, right? And G, right? So this is the lower tetrachord and this is the upper tetrachord. So the rule says we must have semitone between the third or between the last intervals of every tetrachord. And of course, since we are inheriting this from the previous scale, it means this is correct. But let's see the new tetrachord. So from C to D is a tone, not semitone. So we repeat the same process. Well, when you see this closely, you see that from B to C is now a semitone. So that we have semitone and tone, but we're supposed to have tone, semitone. So it means we need an accidental, and the best accidental to use is the sharp on C. So we now have C sharp. So when we have C sharp here, the arrangement is correct. So that we have tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 and semitone. So you see, from C sharp to D is a semitone, and that's correct. So what is the name of this key? The name of this key is D major, because D is the first pitch in this scale, right? So it's D major scale. So D major scale has 2 sharps. G major scale has 1 sharp, right? Now let's go to the next one. Of course, the upper tetrachord of D major will form the lower tetrachord of the next key, right? So A, B, C sharp, and D, the lower tetrachord, and the upper tetrachord E, F. Remember, we are inheriting what we have from the previous scale, right? We want to inherit from the previous scale. So it has 2 sharps, and those 2 sharps, we go to the new scale, right? We make sure we have semitone there and semitone here, and this is correct. But here, it's not correct, because from G to A is a tone, not a semitone. So we need an accidental. So when we put the accidental here, where are we going to put the accidental? The question is it on A or is it on G? If we put it on A, you see that we end up increasing this interval. So we now have a tone and half, right? And we don't want that on a major scale. You only want tones and semitones, not interval 3 steps. So we can put our sharp here. But let's see, if we put the sharp here, we just end up increasing this interval between F sharp and G from semitone to tone. And let's see what will happen here. We have reduced this interval, which is to our favor. So it means when we have the sharp G, it means we've increased this interval to a tone. So from F sharp to G sharp is now a tone, and from G sharp to A is a semitone. So now let's look at the arrangement. So we have from A to B tone, we have tone, we have semitone, we have tone, 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 and semitone. So it's correct. So on A major, we have C, F, and G sharp, and we have 3 sharps on A major scale. All right. The next scale will be the upper tetrachord of A major, which is E, right? Now let's see. Of course, E, we inherit all the sharps of A, or we're going to pick the upper tetrachord of A. We're going to use it to start E major scale, right? So, and of course, we inherit everything A has. So this is the lower tetrachord. And of course, we want to ensure we have semitone here and semitone here, whereas every other intervals will be tone. Now, when you look at C sharp to D, is a semitone, and this semitone interval is not supposed to be here, right? So the question is, where are we going to put our accidentals, and what accidentals to use? Of course, in this context, we are using sharps, we're not using flats, right? Now, are we going to put the sharp sign before E? When we do that, you see that we've successfully increased this interval between D and E. So instead of having the tone that is there before, we're now having a tone and half. That's 3 semitones, and we don't want that. But let's consider putting the accidental before D. So from C sharp to D sharp is a tone. What that means is that the interval between the 7th and the 8th note will be reduced to a semitone automatically. Now let's check if our tone and semitone patterns correct. So we have tone here, we have tone here, we have semitone here, we have tone here, we have tone here, we have tone here, and from D sharp to E is semitone. So in the scale of E major, we have sharp on these notes. Upper tetrachord is now the beginning of a new scale. So the new scale will now be B. So I want to build the B major scale, right? And of course, we're going to inherit what we have in the previous scales, right? Let's see our tetrachord again. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have our lower tetrachord here and upper tetrachord here. And of course, we want to ensure we have semitone here, semitone here too. But before we do that, let's inherit the other accidentals from the previous scale, right? So we have F sharpened and we have G sharpened. But in that case, you see that we always have the problem here. So we have a semitone between G sharp and A, but we have a tone here. But it's supposed to be flipped. So now we have tone here and semitone here, right? So we use an accidental to correct that anomalies. So where are you going to place the accidental? Is it before B or before A? When you place it before B, so you just enlarge the interval to a tone and a half, and we don't want that. So what you do, place the accidental before A, so that when you do that, you just corrected the anomalies here too, so that you now have a tone from G sharp to A sharp, right? From G sharp, this is A sharp on the keyboard, and this is G sharp, and from A sharp to B, a semitone, and that's what we want there. So to test, of course, you get that from the sound, but look at the tone and semitone pattern in the scale. So from B to C sharp is a tone. So you have a tone here too. You have a semitone from D sharp to E. Now from E to F sharp is a tone. And you have a tone here, you have a tone here, and you have a semitone here. So you have a tone from A sharp to B, right? So that's correct. Now, the upper tetrachord is the beginning of a new scale, which is F sharp, not F, but F sharp major. So F sharp major inherits the upper tetrachord of G major scale, right? The next thing is we want to ensure that we have semitone between the last interval of each tetrachord, right? This is correct since we're inheriting it from the previous scale, right? So what are we going to inherit again here? We're going to inherit C sharp, D sharp, and of course a tone here and a semitone here. So we have this arrangement. So on F sharp major, so you're going to sharpen all the pitches except B, right? Okay. The upper tetrachord of F sharp major will now form the lower tetrachord of C sharp major, right? So of course we're going to make sure we have semitones between this and semitones between 7th and the 8th notes, right? Like the rule says. So C sharp, we now have all the notes sharpened so that when we check from E sharp to F sharp, technically from the previous video, E sharp is F and F sharp. So it means this is E sharp and this is F sharp, right? So in this context, so it's wrong for you to call it F because we are trying to build unique pitches of the scale. So we'll call it E sharp. Now we have B sharp and C sharp. B sharp is the same thing as C, right? And straight to C sharp. So that's correct. Alright, we're going to end this section here and I will see you in the next one.